So we've got show up, reach out, power team trust clap, 1, 2, 3. And the next item is we need to use our momentum. We need to mind the gap. Raise your hand if you've been to London before. Okay, a handful of you have. For those of you who have not been to London before, they have what's called the Tube. It's the underground metro system. And whenever you're near it, it was put in more than 100 years ago, there are places in the sidewalk that aren't leveled up or aligned, or when you're walking off the curb, you'll see this phrase, mind the gap, everywhere. And it's beautiful because it reminds you, look out where you're going. I think personally we need to mind the gap, our gap. All of us in this room are these nice Midwestern folks that we're kind to other people, right? I mean, that's who we are. And we all say we believe in, being kind and good to people. But sometimes what we say and what we do don't always match. Like when you tell your kids to always be nice, don't yell at people, yet sometimes you get ticked off and you might shout something back too quickly or too loudly. That would not be saying and doing the same thing. There would be a gap. And sometimes when we continuously do something that is contradictory from what we say and what we do, that gap gets bigger and bigger and it becomes a chasm. Like maybe last evening you had the one glass of wine and then you got another one, and then they asked for another one, you thought, fill it up. Just kidding. We need to be careful of that gap, that what we really say and what we do, those two things match. So that when you go to bed at night, you're proud of who goes to sleep. I mean, that's sleep. And you know when that's not right. And we all go to those places from time to time where the gap's there. Everybody does. You're not alone. But minding that gap, if we personally keep ourselves accountable and to the high standard, the rest takes care of itself. And if we expect that of everybody else, it works. Power team trust clap. 1, 2, 3. Ah! In 2011, the 7 billionth person was born on our planet. That's a lot of people. And let's just say, for ease of the math, that half of them are male and half of them are female. So if we have half and half, how much is a half of 7 billion? 3.5 or 3.5 billion, okay? So 3.5 billion men, 3.5 billion women. If you happen to be in a relationship that is not wonderful, that is not satisfying, that does not make you feel like you are valued, there are 3.5 billion other people to pick from. It's truly, whatever program, wherever I go, you need to make certain you ditch the creeps. And this is in the workplace too. If you're working with somebody and you are working with somebody that is literally sucking every piece of energy out of you, you need to find ways to make some distance. If there's someone in your family, whether you're married to them or a larger family, that really is distracting you, that's minding the gap. Your relationship is causing a gap between what you want and what you don't. And we have control. You don't have to spend a lot of time with that person. Actually, if you start choosing not to, they might get the hint. Oh, go figure. That you would rather be with something a little more uplifting. Okay? I need you to stand up where you are. Smile at your fabulous teammates. Oh, did you smile loud? All righty. And I want you to sit in a chair you weren't sitting at before, at your table. He was so proud he picked blue. Make certain that you introduce yourself to the person sitting right next to you. All right. Power team trust clap. 1, 2, 3. Oh! It's a little different this time, isn't it? Yeah, a little different. There's a tidbit I want to share with you when we talk about minding the gap. That sometimes what we think is true and seems to be true and seems so obvious is not true and is not obvious. Okay? There's a fabulous woman named Teresa Amabile. She's a psychiatrist who has been hired by Harvard Business School. This does not happen, okay? This is a really bizarre thing because she does such great work. She and her team wanted to find out what really motivated people at work. So they took almost 700 people across the entire United States of America who managed large groups of people. And they asked them, what do you think really motivates your people? And she gave them those 5 items to pick from: incentives, recognition, clear goals, interpersonal support, and support for making progress in the work. Those are the 5 things. Of those, between 600 and 700 managers they asked this of, they got a response from about 650. So of those 650 responses, the number one thing that the manager said really motivated their people was recognition. How many of you thought that's what you would have picked? Okay, look around the room, please, because we've got big. All right. Well, then the team did the next step. They actually interviewed and polled and got documentation from all of the people managed by those 650 people, their direct reports. And they gave them those same 5 things: incentives, recognition, clear goals, interpersonal support, support for making progress in the work. And of those 5 things, the workers said what really motivates them is support for making progress in the work. It was not recognition. Recognition was a far distant item. And when they inquired further and said, define this to this, what this means to you, it was many levels. Support first meant knowing who I am, knowing I'm this human being, something about me personally, so I feel like I'm connected to you, supported that way. Supporting and making progress in the work. In addition to knowing them personally, it was also knowing what they were working on, what project, what mission, what was their overarching big goal they were working at work right now. And in the intermediary area of that, how was the work going? Checking in with them, giving them support, being available. Now, are those 2 very different things, recognition and the support? Recognition happens after usually. Support happens at the start, in the middle, and at the end. And if that's what saying people are really motivating people, we need to put that in the back of our minds when we're planning events also. People you want to be teased about, oh, this is going to be a great event. You also want to be supported after you make the choice of, what are the realities of the event? What do I need to be prepared for this? And then once I'm at that event, support me in making it work.